Welcome to the latest issue of China Success, a podcast designed to showcase great examples of foreign companies being successful in China. And today I'm delighted to be with Gary Beard of A.H Beard, which is a phenomenal success story in China. Gary, welcome to China Success.
Thank you, David, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about the success.
Thank you. And now let's just start, if you wouldn't mind, just give us a little bit of history about your family business, which I think is quite remarkable. I'm sure people would love to hear how it came about.
Well, as you say on my shoulder, goes back to the late 1800s, great-grandfather coming out from a place just north of Birmingham to start a new life in Australia, landed in Sydney. And saw the people coming off boats with just a suitcase, as we know still happens today, and recognised that they needed cutlery, crockery, table and chairs and a bed. So that's where great-grandfather originally set himself up to provide for those people, and had a shop on Parramatta Road, just opposite Sydney University. So from great-grandfather, two sons after that, one our grandfather, who was working in the business and was an upholsterer by trade. So he was offered a bet to make 7 beds in a week, and so never made a bed in his life. Got Nan to sew the cover together, the old black and white butcher stripe is the best way of picturing it, and then filled it with horsehair, stitched it up and made it look like a bed, and so fulfilled the first order, making 7 in a week. Today we make, on a good day, a good week, 10,000 a week across 7 factories. So come a long way. So Pop built it up, and then Dad joined him after the Second World War. Dad was into technology and started bringing the latest spring systems into Australia. One factory in a place called 1-3 Park Road, Sans Souci, which was originally the garage at the back of the house where Pop had started, his father had started from, and then Dad built it from the house into a factory, and then expanded it onto 3 Park Road, and grew the business very strong. And then myself and my brother came along about 40 odd years ago. This is my 45th year in the game. And we had 1 factory then, and since brother and myself got together, we've grown it to 7 factories across Australia: Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Hobart, Adelaide and Perth, and 1 in New Zealand, and still today manufacturing Australian-made product with over 450 people on the payroll. And thank God we've survived COVID and had great relationships with the likes of Harvey Norman and 40 Weeks. That the business had grown from just 1 customer to, I think, a database now, including our entree into Asia and China 7 years ago, to probably about 2,200 accounts.
Yes, and I gather about 4,000 product variations, and you're the second largest manufacturer in Australia.
Pardon?
You're the second largest manufacturer in Australia, which I think is extraordinary. So let's talk about your success in China, Gary, because that's the main focus here. And I've written down a few things I'd like to talk to you about. Firstly, what about your name and brand? How did that all translate into the Asian market and into China in particular? And what work did you do around localizing that for the local market?
Great question, my friend. 8 years ago, I suppose it might have been 9 years ago, we recognized as a board that the growth in the Australian community of being 22 or 23 odd million people, there wasn't much opportunity for growth, and we decided to spend over $250,000 back then on a uplift of our website. That 3 ladies in China, one lady who was the #1 salesman for Amway, another lady who was into providing bathrooms, and another lady that was into providing flooring tiles, cork tiles, the best the world could offer. The 3 of them got together and had decided that the next wave coming to China would be bedding. And those that have had the opportunity to go to China would understand that their beds are extremely firm. You might as well sleep on the floor. But they saw that as the next entree to the market over there. So they surfed the net, as the saying goes, and it came down to finding A.H Beard and another company in Sweden, Hastings. And between the two companies, they saw and visualized from our website the quality of what we were providing to the market and suited what they were looking for, and led to them coming and knocking on the door and saying, we'd like to sell your product, but also find out about you. So the essence of quality and the family longevity in the game certainly gave us the opportunity, the bridge into China, and started with one shop. And then today we have 54 shops. We provide as a manufacturer to them. We have no financial investment in the actual shops. They have created a shopping experience of walking into a shop, and you'll see again over my shoulder, the A.H Beard logo is exactly what you see on the front of the shop. And they portray it as very much Australian made. We had the grand opportunity 6 years ago to have John Howard and his beautiful wife Jeanette to come over for the opening of the first shop. The exposure we got there was absolutely fantastic, but it only has, you wouldn't see a shop like it in Australia or really across the Western world, whereby there's only one brand in the shop, and that's us. And our entry point would be a $5,000 US mattress only, queen size, through to our flagship, which is a $70,000 mattress only, queen size, that they sell on average about 4 to 6 a month.
Well, Gary, hold on a moment. We've got to get into this. So you're saying that the Chinese will spend $70,000 on an Australian mattress when we know that China is the manufacturing hub of the world. And whilst we know that they will pay premium prices for high quality goods, the cost of a local mattress in China would be less than $1,000. So how on earth?
Less than 500. Less than 500.
Right. So how on earth have you been able to build up the value in that sort of pricing model? And amazing story.
Well, the true essence as we've worked with them and learned of what they're looking for was that our top of the range has the best of the best inside it. We source our spring unit from the United Kingdom. We use springs that are used in Bentley and Rolls-Royce seating in a car. We use merino, alpaca, cotton, the best that we can, natural fibers we can get a hold of from not just Australia, but from around the world, horsehair. And we tailor it, and we use the manufacturing process of the way we built beds 50 years ago, probably 60 years ago. And the story that they wanted was the genuineness of what is used inside the bed, which led us to us finding the actual farm as an example in Wee Waa, where the actual cotton came from. So they could identify to the farm the integrity of the cotton, the wool from the farmer. And also I learned very much that they have this picture of Australia being so clean, our beautiful blue skies, and again, the cleanliness, the integrity of the raw materials we've used. They in turn have created their story as being the world's best bedding product that they can get. They travel the world, they go to Europe, they go to America, and have had the opportunity to get other brands, but they decided that what comes from A.H Beard in Australia is the best that they can get there and provide to their customers.
Well, it's an amazing story and a fantastic inspiration to other Australian premium product providers. But it's one thing having a great product. It's another thing being able to localize your operation on the ground to get your local team working for you. So how have you managed some of those challenges around building a local business? You said you had over 50 showrooms in China, so you must have quite a strong team on the ground in China.
To me, this is a critical point if you want to get into China. You have to have somebody, like when they're translating from our lingo into theirs, and I've heard it can go many different ways and the message not get through. We have been blessed, I suppose, to have a gentleman who Chinese, originally from Beijing, educated in America, became a marketing professor. He supplied and worked for the best spring manufacturer in the world called Leggett and Platt. Decided to go and befriend people that wanted to grow their capacity to supply other markets outside of China. So had a very good relationship with a lot of Chinese people. But having John Ding as our spokesman, he knew us, knew our family, and knew the essence of what we were in for the long haul. We weren't just in for the short haul, and that to get that message through to that they understand that, I think was the critical point that really gave the mass and the strength really for them to do what they did. And it's, as you alluded to, 54 shops. We have one lady who works out of Guangzhou, but they are so tight within themselves. They have their story that they've created about A.H Beard product. They ask all the time for literature and photography, but they like keeping their message within themselves. And as per what we would do in Australia, we go in and train their people on the floor. That doesn't happen very much at all. It's more the contact with the owners who then take the message down to their people. We've been to some absolutely amazing nights of launch of products. But again, being as ignorant as what we are as being Aussies and not having any real command of the Mandarin language, the excitement that they build around the product has been absolutely fantastic. So for anybody going to China, make sure you get somebody who's a very trustworthy partner and can translate what you're really trying to say to them.
Yes, of course. But not only do you need to find a good person, but you need to trust him or her, and he or her needs to trust you, because effectively you're handing over representation of your business in China to that person. So I imagine over the years you've done a lot of relationship building and strengthening those kind of relationships. Yeah.
Yep.
What sort of how have you approached that?
With building up that trust?
Yes.
It's they love meetings. And a meeting will be not for an hour. A meeting will go for 9 o'clock in the morning through to 12 o'clock. We stop, we go and have lunch. That'll take an hour, a couple of beers over lunch. Then we'll go back to the office, and then they'll go back across what we've talked about in the morning. And your patience, because you're going through a translator all the time, you have to learn that they are very interested, but they really want to enforce, because in one way, in China, not trusting anybody, they work very hard to build trust, but it doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what else in terms of your local presence? I assume you run a wholly owned foreign enterprise in China. So have you got some stories about this? Because a lot of people worry about moving money into China or making money in China. How do they get it out? How do they get it in? You know, can they trust the people on the ground in terms of looking after the money? Have you got any stories around running a business in China? Well,
the story behind first going to China was we went to India, of all places, and our partner over there, we went to teach them how to make inner spring beds for the Indian market, and had an offshore company. But the Indians are completely different to do business with, completely different. And I suppose our learnings there led us to where we are today, still today with China. We haven't set up a separate company in China or Hong Kong. We've looked at setting up in Hong Kong. But at present, we work on an open trading account with them that they bank straight into our account in US dollars. And we don't have an actual office in China at all, or registered business.
Right. So the locals effectively run a kind of representative office.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And that representative office now has 3 or 4 people in it. But they are very focused on 2 accounts that we don't have just one account, we have 2 accounts. And another company, another family again, in China, where our good friend and business partner Jerry Harvey and Katie Page have 120 shops. This gentleman has 1,500 shops. So the scale and everything else is dynamic all the time.
Yeah. So Gary, what about this sort of geopolitics at the moment? Like I know that you use the Australian logo on the Made in Australia logo on your products. Have you had any feedback or insights, or maybe even pushback in recent times because of the Australia-China relationship?
I don't think the word pushback is right. The same as what has happened in Australia with COVID. And the advertising of buying and what we promote, Australian made, certainly has bolstered our business more so than it's ever done since we started with Australian made in '84. The people are asking for Australian made. What we understand is happening in China, there is a push from the Chinese government to focus on Chinese made. And it's not a dispersion against Australia, I don't think, from my point of view, what I hear from the guys. It is more China saying buy Australian, buy Chinese. So as we say buy Australian, they're saying buy Chinese. The beautiful part, in one way to watch, and going to China for 20 odd years, they are amazingly able to adapt and improve their quality every year, and they're getting better and better at it. Where our factory that we get our springs from in Guangzhou, next door was a paddy field that probably had 50 people working in it. And that'd only be 7 years ago. Today, it has a state-of-the-art Audi factory producing just on 500,000 Audis for the Chinese market only, and employing 7,000 people. And their whole push is to get people into jobs.
Yeah.
If that answers the question.
Oh, you're right. So there's generally a pushback to foreign brands, not so much Australian brands. Yes. And as you say, like most countries, they're trying to persuade their consumers to buy the local manufactured product. And that's happening, all over the world, of course.
Whereas in Hong Kong, David, the push is not Chinese made, everything but Chinese made. So there's two things happening. Our Hong Kong business is going extremely well at the present moment, even in all the turmoil there. So it's interesting to watch.
And Gary, do you have any local members of your team on the ground in China, or in particular, any future family generations?
No, we do have the locals in, as I said, in Guangzhou, our office there. There's 4 people there. As per my children, at the present moment, I think the failing of what I was taught Latin and French when I went to school. What a waste of time that was. That why we don't have Mandarin as a teaching that in schools, I still don't understand that. But no, my children at the present moment love going over there, and I've taken them over there to feel and experience it. But they're not putting their hand up to go to live in China at the present moment. Not yet,
anyway. So if you could do it all again, Gary, your China journey, because what we're hoping from this interview is to inspire others to go to China, not to fear China, to see it as the opportunity that it is, to charge premium prices for high value products and services. If you could do it all again based on what you've learned and your journey along the way, is there anything that you would do differently, or any advice you'd give to others to help them on their China journey?
If you go with the attitude and leave the legacy of not mistrust and build on something that is new and exciting and build that rapport and that trust between yourself and the people you want to do business that you want to do business with, we've found it's been very successful.
And certainly the proof is there. And I think that for anyone thinking about doing business in China, A.H Beard is a fantastic example of a fourth generation Australian family committed to manufacturing premium product, selling it at a very high price in China, $70,000 for a mattress. I mean, just to give you an example.
We don't get 70,000, David. No, it's okay.
Yeah, but that's the kind of pricing, right?
No, I appreciate the fact.
Yeah,
very, very much so.
And what a great example. It's a high premium price, sell on quality and value, and deliver a great outcome via trusting the local people to be your representatives on the ground. I think it's a fantastic success story. Gary, I wish you every success. Please encourage everybody to reach out to A.H Beard to find out more about what they do.
Please do.
But yeah, thank you. And I can't think of a better example of China's success than A.H Beard in Australia. So Gary, thank you for being on our podcast and best of luck for the future.
Yeah, we're just releasing a new range over there called A.H Beard Origins, which again is all natural fibers, and the interest and the excitement that we're getting from the Chinese customers is fantastic. So they're looking for something new all the time. They're great to work with. They are tiring in that they demand a lot, but their demands are what they see is what they need, and you've got to accept that, not my way, it's our way, that you've got to learn with them. And that again, David, to have this opportunity, we are now not just in China, we are in South Korea, we are in Thailand, we are building relationships of all places in America for our brand. The learnings that's taking us out of Australia to other parts of the world, and Germany, of all places, to have interest in our product. That once you do go on the journey outside of Australia, we are protected so much here. Don't be scared, have a go, and sell what you believe in.
Well, that's a great way to finish. Thank you, Gary. And thank you to all our listeners for being on the China Success podcast. Please go to davidthomas.asia/China Success for more information. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.